Welcome to the next installment of the Miami Group Educational Program Series.
Well, I will welcome everybody again. And if you cannot hear at home, please send us a chat. We're going to start. We have four professionals who are going to share information with us about solar energy on your home. Monica Williams, owner of the Paff Electric Solar, locally owned since 1986. Welcome. Matt Blinsky, the owner of Pro Lighting and Solar, specialized since 1986 and solar since 2009. Oh, Matt's on Zoom. Okay, hi Matt. Okay, Phil Masick, he's representing Clean Energy. He's the manager of the Riverside Clean Energy, and which has been operating since 1945. Phil is an NAV LED, which means to tell us what that is later.
Oh,
I'm sure it's a credential that's valued. He's certified PV technical sales. He's active solar since 2017, and he has been passive solar since 1989. And possibly Ron Schofield from the Sierra Club Energy Committee may be making a presentation. At this point, I want to get things rolling, started. So, Lauren, it's up to you now, right? Or whoever's going to start talking. That's all I've got. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay.
That's fine. Carol?
The next one. Here we go. So my name is Ron Schofield. I'm a member of the Miami Group Ohio Sierra Club Energy Committee. And we're happy everybody's here. I just wanted to go through a few introductory slides, talk a little bit about solar and why we're here, why we're trying to educate people and encourage the adoption of solar here in Ohio. Obviously, and I think everybody knows, there are a lot of environmental benefits of solar. I just put down a quick example. I think everybody understands that we want to try to electrify our energy system, and as part of that, get away from the burning of coal and natural gas and oil and so on and so forth, and move to what we call green energy, solar, wind, and that sort of thing. Tonight we're going to talk about solar. And I just showed a very simple example here that talks about how the typical solar panel offsets carbon, which we know we're trying to produce as part of our decarbonization goal. So a 400-watt panel, which is a really typical panel these days. One panel produces about 2 kilowatts of energy per day, all year, and it doesn't emit CO2 as part of it. It's a photoelectric transformation in the panel that they can tell you more about, and as part of that, no carbon dioxide is emitted. However, the normal power that we get is a combination of different sources, including coal and natural gas and other fuels, and it emits the typical energy that you would plug in or get through your power line, emits about 0.85 pounds of carbon dioxide at the production site per kilowatt. So the panel emits none, but what you buy from your power company is generating about 0.85 pounds of CO2 per kilowatt. Doesn't sound like very much. This is, by the way, from EIA.gov. As of 2020. But what you can do then is just do some very simple math, and what you'll find out is that 400-watt panel prevents 600 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere every year that it's functioning. And as they'll tell you, a typical solar panel life is about 25, 30 years. So just one solar panel is going to offset a lot of carbon dioxide. Most houses, businesses, solar arrays have many panels on them, so the savings really add up. Can you go to the next? Another thing that we found in the last few years is that the cost of producing solar panels has really dropped quite a bit. You can see here the 2010 cost of a residential solar is about 52 cents per kilowatt hour in 2017 dollars. It's dropped to about 10 cents here in 2020, and it's going to be cut in half by about 2030. Commercial's a little bit cheaper. The utility scale solar arrays are cheaper than that. So, regardless of what type of solar array you're putting up, the costs are dropping. Next slide. And as solar module costs decline, annual installations are going up really fast. The reason is, of course, because it's inexpensive. This is the least expensive now source of power that can be added if you need more power. So, we're looking back here, 1976, the module price per watt of power was about $84. If you wanted to get a solar panel and produce 1 watt of power, it costs about $84. Now you're down to something about 69 cents as of 2015. And obviously it's so expensive now. Next slide. Again, that's from EIA. Okay, I think we're ready to hand off to Matt Blinsky, who's online.
I just want to thank everybody for their time tonight. My name's Matt Kobinski. I'm the president of Pro Lighting and Solar. I apologize I'm not able to attend in person. I'm in Salt Lake City on business. Just wanted to go over some basics on solar. So this picture is the solar array that I have on my house. I have 18 panels. They're 250 watts each. I have 18 of the N-phase microinverters, 6 of the 3-panel RAQ solar racking assemblies. It's a 4.5 kW solar array. It's a grid-tied system, meaning we're still connected to the grid. And this small solar array offsets our energy by 64%. So we essentially produce 64% of the power that we consume as a household of 6 people. And then the other 36% we rent dirty power from Duke Energy. You can see on the top part of my roof, I am going to be adding 9 more panels to the top part of the roof. And that'll put us where we'll generate all the power that we'll need. So I am also going to purchase an electric car. And so as far as the electric car, I'm going to need to add 8 400-watt solar panels on my house to accommodate my electric car. When I add the 8 panels, it's essentially 3.2 kW system. I'll be able to power my car with the sun, which is pretty cool. I've been installing solar since 2009, and the market itself has gotten a lot better. There are a lot more local installers that invest in their people that are in the market. We have a really good system that we've built. You'll be hearing from Monica Williams from Paff Electric and Solar in a few minutes, as well as Sil Massey with Riverside Electric, Renewable Energy Department. And these are some of the contractors that I use in the Cincinnati market. The good thing about using companies like Monica's and Riverside Electric is they invest in their workforce. They provide full family health care for all their electricians. That's employer paid. They also provide retirement for their electricians, and all the apprentices that they employ are in a registered apprenticeship program. And they attend our Net Zero Training Center that's over in Western Hills on Glenway Avenue. And just so people know that on Earth Day, Friday, April 22nd, we are going to be having a solar town hall. So if anybody's interested and they want to attend the event, you can reach out to us after the meeting, or we'll be putting something out soon. As far as an invitation, it'll be April 22nd from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Net Zero Training Center for the electrical workers on Glenway Avenue. So the system that you see there on my house is pretty much what we're designing and installing today. The solar panels are a higher wattage panel. They are all made in America. They're made in Minnesota or North Florida. The company is Helene Solar. The good thing about using American-made solar panels is they're made in America. Secondly, the warranty. They have a 25-year linear production warranty. So that's essentially ensuring that your investment is going to last. The microinverters have a 25-year warranty. The racking has a 25-year warranty. So when we're designing a system and pricing it up and submitting a proposal, your payback is based on essentially product that's going to last at least 25 years. One of the other positive things about investing in solar for your house is it's going to add increased resale value of your house. There's a study that came out from Berkeley College. They surveyed thousands of homes across the country. And for every watt of solar you install on your house, it's going to increase the resale value of your house by $2.90 per watt. So for a traditional system like this right here that you see, normally this system it's about $3 to $3.25 a watt to install the system. So this is probably around a $15,000 project. And as far as the increased resale value of my house, so for a 4.5 kilowatt system or 4,500 watts, it's going to increase the resale value by about $13,050. So it's almost a dollar for dollar what you invest in your house as you're building equity in your house as well. So this system, as I said, is a very simple system. This is pretty much a one-day project. If you use competent, honest, fair local contractors, that's about what you're looking at is 1 to 2 days for most solar projects. We are now incorporating energy storage in our projects. We're also doing electric vehicle charging stations. So there are a lot of opportunities for people to use local installers that invest in their people and also utilizing American-made product. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Monica Williams. Monica is the president of Paff Electric and Solar. Oh, did you want me to go through this? I can, I'm sorry. My apologies. So this is the array that I have on my house. So you can see we're tied off. We're physically laying out, screwing the racking down into the trusses on our house. You want to flip to the next slide. So there's the racking that's finished. It took us about 2 hours to do the layout, to do the flashing. So that way you have a seamless watertight fit. So the water can just run right down the shingles. If you'll flip to the next slide, please. So these are the microinverters. This is an older style. I've had solar on my house for several years now. This is a phase M250. Now you have N-phase IQ8s, which is a much more smarter technology that's paired with, when you pair it with energy storage, it's a really good outcome. And the reason why I say that is as long as the sun is shining, the microinverters will communicate with the energy storage and it will constantly keep charging the batteries. N-phase is the only product on the market right now that will allow the batteries to be charged even when there isn't power from the grid. If you'll flip to the next slide, please. So there's the system. We've got all the racking in. We're installing the microinverters. So a real quick Solar 101 from my hotel room in Salt Lake City. So say my cell phone is a solar panel. The sun shines on the panel and it generates direct current. Your house, your place of business runs on alternating current. So we install the microinverters. The microinverters act as a transformer. So they transform the sun's power that generates direct current into alternating current. So then it feeds the circuit breakers in your house. So that's essentially how it works. As far as this system here, this was a really simple system to install. If you'll flip to the next slide, please. So there's me and my son. He went to LaSalle. He's now at the University of Louisville, taking a solar panel up on the roof. The solar panels weigh about 48 to 50 pounds piece. You could flip to the next slide, please. So there's a system. We've got everything tied in. We're getting ready to put the last row of solar panels on. We have all of our grounding done. Again, this is a really simple installation. Next slide, please. So the way that I have my solar array is I have 9 panels on, I'm sorry, I have 13 panels on solar array number 1 and 5 solar panels on solar array number 2. So those, the way that I have it is if I want to add more panels, I can add the 9 panels and add them right to array number 2, and then I'm good to go. You'll flip to the next slide, please. So the solar panels are tied together on 2 circuits. One circuit is array number 2, the other is array number 1. It back feeds my panel. So every watt of power that my solar panels generate is 1 less watt of dirty power that I have to rent from Duke Energy. So it's essentially, I'm utilizing all the solar power that I'm generating. Next slide, please. So there's the system when we're done. And you can see the top part of my roof there on the left is where we'll add the additional panels. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's it. So Rana, I assume you're going to take over then for the ground mount system?
So Matt talked about his system. I'll talk about mine next, if you can advance the next slide. In 2019, I installed a 25.5 kilowatt array. I live in Warren County, and came online in September. It was built and financed by me. And at the time, we had a fantastic federal tax rebate that I took advantage of. It was 30%, which meant 30% of everything that I spent, I got back in a tax refund. And that rebate or rebate still applies. It's 26%, and they'll talk about that later on today. That helps a lot. I have 3 arrays of 25 panels each, and this array all told powers my house and my car. I burn nothing, and I actually generate more power than I use, and it's also grid tied, so I'm pushing power into the grid to AES, which used to be DP&L. I'm just another power generator. Next slide. This just shows I designed a jig. I laid the whole system out on the ground. I bought a little compass so I could figure out which way south was, because that's important. And I bought a bunch of stainless steel pipe and got that cut and threaded and built the system. Next slide. I hired a neighbor after I marked out every post. Hired a neighbor to come out and dig all the holes. Next slide. I erected the jig. It's just a wooden 2x4 jig I designed. I erected the jig over the top of the holes, and then you can see I laid out the piping and lifted it up on top of the jig. Next slide. There you can, yeah, you can't really see it. The jig used to stand underneath all these cross pipes up here, and the vertical pipes hung down into the holes. And then I hired another guy to come out with a monstrous cement truck, and he poured every hole. I can't remember how many holes I had, but he poured them all very carefully with this truck. And then the rest of the Iron Ridge system was screwed onto all of this piping. Next slide. And the panels were installed with these hold down retainers with just bolts. Next slide. And I guess I don't have I showed you the finished product on the first slide. So that's a ground mount system. You can put it on your roof, you can put it on your ground. And the next one, I think Monica's going to talk to.
Yeah, sure. So I guess like the main point of this is we're just trying to show you all the different kind of systems that you can put onto your roof, whether you have a flat roof, a ground mount system, a metal seam roof, which I'll walk through here. And we're just kind of just trying to give you a little bit of background on everything that can be applied to either your home or your business. You can go to the next slide. So I know it's a little bit blurry, but These are called S4 clamps, and this is the metal seam roof. Right here, you'll see the microinverters and the racking system that goes straight onto the roof. Go to the next slide. And then this is just the finished product right on the garage. This was in the west end. Yeah, the west end. Cincy. So next slide. And then we'll go to the rubber roof, which is also known as a flat roof. This is actually High Grain Brewery in Silverton. And you'll see right here how we do all this. You just tilt them up a little bit, and then you have these, what do they call them, roof boots that you put on the back of them. And that's how you mount those as well. Okay, the next slide. And then the warranties. So all of our panels are Helene modules. They are American made, as Matt had said previously. There's a 25-year warranty on them. The inverters are a 12 to 20-year warranty. And so for inverters, we're talking about the Solar Edge ones that we use, which is mainly for commercial. Paired with inverters, you have power optimizers as well. And those are also a 12 to 20-year warranty. Or I'm sorry, 25-year warranty. The microinverters, they go back on the back of each panel, and that is how you can monitor each panel. When we set up your system, we'll have a monitoring system where you can monitor the production of each panel hour for hour. Every 15 minutes it gets to update, and you'll be able to pull your reports. On those are a 25-year warranty. And then the battery systems that you can pair with any system that we install, there is a 10-year warranty on those as well. And then still, I don't.
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Want me to run through, or-
It's up to you.
Go ahead. You're right.
Okay, so for the financial incentives, there's a 26 tax credit on income taxes for the same calendar year. So as long as the project is completed within that same year, you can claim the entire 26% tax credit. There's currently no state incentives. Hopefully that changes soon. Fingers crossed. For a local, there is the Hamilton County Home Improvement Program, where the loan is 3% below lowest rate. The city of Cincinnati tax abatement for LEED homes. The solar provides points towards a total score. And then the REAP, Rural Energy for American program, there's 25% project costs grant. And this could be for agricultural or a small business. So contract to completion, and get a lot of questions about how long it will take for a project from sign of contract to completion. We usually say about 60 to 90 days. So how it works is we can do a remote quote. First, we would need your Duke Energy bill or AP or whoever you have as your utility provider. And then we use a state-of-the-art software where we can actually see your roof and do an analysis based off of shading and provide a preliminary. And you can go to next. And then we'll do a site assessment. This will be so we can see what your service is, your panel, and then assess how steep your roof is as far as labor and how that would work into the project. Next slide. And then we can provide a finalized quote. In this quote will be a comprehensive analysis of your shading analysis, your payback analysis, how many panels, and the total project cost, and will be all in one that we will provide to you. And then the next step would be a contract signature and then deposit. We do all of our contracts is 50% on sign of contract and then 50% upon completion. The deposit goes towards engineering, permitting, and material ordering, and then is the Duke interconnection agreement that you have to apply for as well. And then the permits and applications, that's when we can start getting going on everything that needs to go for, because for Duke Energy, you do need your permits. And then the application as well, which does take some time with Duke Energy. There is a little bit, especially in Ohio, they say about 25 to 30 days for a application to be completed through their process. And then we would do installation, material delivery and installation takes 2 to 3 days to complete for a typical residential system. Maybe the next. And then electrical inspection, after we've done everything as far as installation, we'll have an electrical inspection with either, depending on where you live, NIC or IBI. And those are the local ones around here. And then the final connection, after the system has been installed and Duke Energy has completed their approval, they will come out and either do a swap of your meter or just reprogram it to be a net meter. So then if you overproduce in one day, you'll see your meter actually tick backwards and then you'll get your credit. Only if you overproduce though, but that's what that's for. And then the last thing would be your monitoring. And you can actually see down here, you'll see your panels and it'll show each production for each panel and you get to see that in real time, which is actually pretty fun to watch. You have one on your house. I think that might be it for the presentation. Is it?
So do you walk people through all of that, how that monitor, because that would scare me.
The monitoring
see all of that.
system, we absolutely can. It seems very cumbersome, but when you pull it up on your dashboard, I always put your roof on in the background so you can actually see which panel is which and you know where your driveway is as opposed to where the panel is. So it makes it pretty easy at knowing where each panel is. And I mean, there's a little interface as far as doing the reporting system, but that's something that we could easily help out with. That's no problem. As far as pulling reports, especially if you need help with Duke Energy, just to make sure you're getting credited accurately. So that's definitely something that we can help out with because we actually tinker around a little bit on it every day. So yeah.
Can you talk about net metering, what it is?
Net metering. So when we say net metering and we say net zero, in a calendar year, you would be net zero. So during the summer months when you are overproducing on a supposed to be overproducing on a daily basis, you'll meter run backwards. And then a per month to month basis, it'll actually credit throughout the year. So once a full cycle year has gone through, you're actually not paying anything to Duke Energy. If that makes sense. Did I explain that? I don't know if you guys might be better.
Another, the way I take it is you treat your power company like a battery.
Yes, yes.
So you store energy
You
during
store
the
it
month
and you
and
can
then you
use,
use it in the winter.
yes, especially like if you think about it at night too. If you overproduce, your meter is going to run backwards, but then at night there's no sunlight, so your meter is going to run forward. So throughout the year, it's going to end up just being net zero.
They keep track of your production of your solar panels throughout the life cycle of the system. And if you ever produce, they'll credit you, and they keep track of that credit. So when you underproduce, they're giving you those credits back, and they're not charging you for those credits. It's credits that you've already produced for your solar.
You might want to repeat that. I doubt people understood.
You want to say?
Sure, so the net metering, a couple of key things to really focus on, and that is, I'm gonna get over here on this side.
Here's the microphone.
Okay, come over here, microphone.
Microphone's right there. Okay, yeah, sure. So the key thing to focus on net metering is if the system, it goes in the springtime, that's when you're starting to produce a lot of electricity as you move towards the summer solstice. So as the sun gets higher and the days get longer, you're producing lots of energy. During that time, you're getting a credit. And so that credits continue to build month to month, it'll roll. And so in the winter, when you are not producing as much as you are consuming, that credit that you put in your virtual battery or piggy bank with Duke or whoever, AEP or whoever it might be, then you're drawing from that. So the whole concept of net zero is not that you'll never pay an electric bill, but over the course of a year, the total cost of energy for you is zero. So for instance, if a system was installed in the fall, you would not be producing any credit. You would be paying a smaller electric bill, but once the system caught up by overproducing, then you'll see that bill go to zero. Once you see that bill go to zero and you've got that credit bill, because it's rolling month to month, and then at the end of the year, it zeroes out, and you, let's say you have a little extra left over, if might be $5 worth of credit, you'll get a check for that. And then they start that metering process again. But once you've gone to zero, your bill pretty much stays at zero for the rest of the time. It's just, you got to catch up. So yeah, net zero is a calendar year, not no bill every month. That help?
We had a question in chat. Are there any local nonprofit solar providers?
Nonprofit solar providers, meaning servicing nonprofit organizations, maybe? Somebody want to?
That was just the question.
My understanding is that the energy companies are not real happy about this net metering and they're trying to pass laws or regulations against it. Is that true?
That is true.
Is that happening in Ohio?
Ohio, it did not, Ohio already put their net metering policy in place. It could get challenged again, but that was 3 years ago that net metering policy went into place. And what they did was gave a monetary value to the amount of solar, what the excess electricity that goes to the grid. For every kilowatt of energy that you push to the grid, the way Ohio works, when you look at your bill, you'll see where it says transmission, distribution, connection fees, all those kinds of things. And then you'll see electric service charge or power coming to you. And it might be at 6 cents. All right. It might be 7 cents, depending on what you're paying. But what the law did was say, and what they negotiated was, that's the fair market value of energy that you're pushing back to the grid. So they valued it at 6 cents or 7 cents. So whatever you're paying for the raw electricity is the credit that you will get back. Now, make note that those other charges, the connection fee, which is your stay connected to the grid for the meter, that's a fixed cost, about $6, depending on who it is. And then transmission and distribution is a percentage of what you're pulling from the grid. So if you're not pulling from the grid, you're not getting the transmission or a distribution fee. And if you've overproduced, guess what? That connection fee for your meter got wiped out too. So net metering definitely was challenged. Kentucky, it definitely changed, and it's continuing to change. So I don't know that there's anyone, if there is someone online that's from Kentucky, I'd be happy to explain how that's working.
I haven't gotten a
So
question.
in Ohio, the law was passed 3 years ago saying that the energy companies have to.
They have to buy it. Yeah. So unless someone puts forth a bill and it goes through process to change, and it would really be the electric companies that are driving it, right? So there's some horse trading going on in the back. Somebody wants something. Hey, I'm going to give you this deal, but I don't want any of that solar stuff happening. I mean, you guys know how it works. The politics that's happening in terms of what gets done where. But right now, there's nothing challenging it. In fact, a wonderful thing that's happening is that HOAs are going to no longer be able to restrict putting solar on homes.
Question I was going to have.
Yeah. So that bill went in, and I think it either got approved or is getting approved. It's got all the votes, but that was always an issue, because even if it was a landominium in what they would call a condominium complex, even though the houses were detached, there were challenges again being able to put solar. And in fact, we worked with a gentleman a couple of years ago that actually took it all the way to court lawyer and everything, and he won. But he was so tired, he ended up not putting solar.
Just wanted to prove a
He
point.
just got beat down, and then he was like, forget it, I'm not doing it.
So just for in chat, somebody asked online, just for people in the room, if a Duke customer in Cincinnati, if they were able to produce all their own electric from solar, would the Duke rider stay the same? Currently, she's in the aggregation program, and Matt answered that Duke Energy will still charge for the connection to the grid.
Yeah.
He pays $12.98 per month for that on the months that he overproduces. But there's another question in here. What issues have there been with building roofs and roof maintenance?
I'm gonna go back to the aggregation.
Okay.
Because there's a very important thing that you need to know. Your net metering contract is with Duke Energy. Okay? Not with the aggregator that the city of Cincinnati has provided. So if you're with an aggregator, you want to drop the aggregator and go to Duke, because the aggregator is not required to pay you anything. So Dynergy is, I think, who the aggregator is for the city of Cincinnati's program. Dynergy does the value that you're going to get for solar. You had to work that out with Dynergy because your contract was with Duke. So if you were paying 3 cents with Dynergy, but Duke's net metering policy says you can get 6 cents, you're only going to get 3 cents when you push it back. So you want to get rid of you want to opt out of the aggregation to maximize your net metering benefit. Okay. And then building.
So have there been issues with building roofs and then roof maintenance?
So you can, I guess if you're asking if you can replace a roof after you've already installed.
Fix one, replace one.
Yes, so that is no problem. It usually takes a half a day to take the system off and then another half a day to put it back on. So if, for instance, you have a 5-year-old roof and the 25-year warranty, your panels are obviously going to last longer than your roof. So you can actually still have that replaced and then put the system back on. We've actually done a few of those recently, and that's no problem.
When we see a specification that's X amount of energy produced by a panel in a day, how many hours of sunlight is that?
The current model for this particular part of the country is about 4.5 sun hours is what it's called. So from 10 to 2 is the optimal time. So you're really calculating that time frame, about 4 hours worth of production.
And how many days a year do we get that roughly, approximately average?
Yeah, actually, great question. I used to know the answer to that, but I will tell you this, just as so a lot of people think about Cincinnati as, gosh, we've got a lot of gray skies, right? Is it really reasonable? Does it even make sense? Why would you? Well, think about this. We're in the same latitude and long of where Spain is, and everybody, sunny Spain. We get the same amount of energy, sunlight, as Spain does. So the viability of solar here in Cincinnati in this region is absolutely.
It seemed like when we first started doing panels and so forth, this area wasn't too viable at that time.
Yeah, more than likely, the reason for that was the wattage of the panels were quite a bit less.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were
And
much.
the cost was
poorer.
high.
Cost was high, wattage was less, so your return on investment was really poor, the production was really poor. Now, you've got panels that are, depending, commercial size panels that are all the way up beyond 500 watts a panel. Standard residential, a good medium mean is 400.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference now.
And then the other thing that'll help that is we have utility scale solar arrays going in. There's one in Highland County now that's going to be supplying power to tens of thousands of homes in Cincinnati. And, you know, if they can make it work financially, then we can too.
So Matt just posted in chat for those of you in the room here, Matt Kolbinski out in Salt Lake, that Cincinnati has 4.52 sun hours on average per day over the course of the year. So that answers one of your questions. Yeah, okay. So can you repeat the question before you answer it? So for people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
I had a couple of questions. Why do you need so many inverters? Why do you need one per panel? Why can't you just strap them all together?
So the question was, why do you need so many inverters, one per panel? So there's two different systems that we have typically installed. The micro inverters are the end-phase micro inverters, and they go on the back of each panel, and that is so you can monitor each separate panel. Now there's Solar Edge optimizers, and those usually link, it's two panels, and do they go up even more? Can they?
Yeah,
go-
you can actually put them on every panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can, but we've done a couple systems where you can just link two panels together and still monitor both of them. That's just how the micro inverters are
Yeah.
designed. And it actually helps as far as troubleshooting. That way, you know, let's say, you know, there's a loss of a panel and you don't know why. Well, you know exactly what panel it is. You can go straight to that one based off of looking at your monitoring system. So it actually helps out in troubleshooting if there ever is an issue.
Okay, how often is there an issue?
We
Very,
haven't-
rare, very,
Very
rare.
rarely. We have not seen one yet, so.
So why do you have-
It's two different designs. So microinverters
Mhm.
are a AC. So what's going on is every panel, just think of it, micro means small.
Yeah.
Small inverter on every panel. And an inverter, what an inverter is doing, it's taking the DC energy that the solar panel is making and converting it to AC that's coming out of the plugs in your home, okay? So microinverters are doing all of that conversion of AC to DC at the panel on the roof and sending AC current down to interconnect into your electric panel.
However, if you're gonna have a battery system, you want DC current to begin with, so.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, there's AC coupled, DC coupled, but if you can do DC, it's better if you're doing batteries. And so the other option with the Solar Edge is DC technology. And what that is on every panel, there's an optimizer. But what's going on there is the power coming from the roof, all of those optimizers are basically connecting into a big trunk and coming down and into a central inverter that's doing the conversion of DC to AC, then goes to your panel.
It just seems like getting all the phases correctly on the AC, so it's not fighting with Duke, would be more appropriately done at one point than at each panel,
Yeah, so the technology, the microinverter technology is actually very resilient. And plus the other thing that's going on, it's really independent of Duke in terms of what's going on and any phasing or any of that kind of stuff that's happening. But the other key thing that's going on with microinverters and optimizers is this. By law, because this is a power plant, those devices, not only the microinverters, the optimizer, but also the central inverters have grid sensing. So if power is lost and you don't have a battery, that system, that solar array has to shut down. The reason is it's a power plant. If it didn't shut down and shut down at every panel level, shut down and inverter shut down, it would send power back out to the grid. So if there was a lineman out a mile, even a mile down, 2 miles down the road, you're sending power to the grid, which they thought was shut down, but now he's up there, he's checked system and your system comes online and pushes power, you basically electrocute the line. And that had happened, and that's where that regulation came in place is that rapid shutdown is required by National Electric Code, NEC from 2000 and 2020. It's in, Cincinnati hasn't implemented 2020 yet. I think it's 2019 NEC code that's in this region right now, but that's required. So
Okay, one more question is that every so often I hear about solar panel shingles.
yeah.
Are they coming? Are they applicable or?
So right now,
Sorry. The
Oh,
question
sorry.
was, the question from here was solar panel shingles, are they coming? Are they soon to enter the market?
do you want to take it?
Dude, you're good.
Okay, all right. So solar shingles. They're available, but they're very expensive. And lots of companies have engaged in that market. In fact, back in the late 80s, there were solar shingles. When the smart home technology was first kicking off back in the late 80s, solar shingles came into play, and I think it was one of the roofing companies. I can't remember the name of the company, but I was in grad school at the time, and I was like, "This is awesome!" And then I was, "No, it's not." But now Tesla's got a great product, but you're paying quite a bit of money. So a solar system that would be a Tesla roof compared to a standard solar, 3 times as much. There's several other manufacturers that are coming out with product, but the key thing with those are the amount of energy that they produce for the area that they cover is not quite up to par with the standard solar panels that we've got. They're getting there, and eventually there will be absolutely, I have no doubt, there will be some sort of integrated technology that every home in America will have. Every new home that's built will have some sort of integrated solar shingle on it. Places like Florida and some places in California already have legislation that says every new home that's built has to have a certain percentage solar on its roof. So you see that coming. And so as a result, you'll probably see a lot of technology. But right now, it's still in its infancy.
I was just, since I came from California, thinking of places where big fires are common. So what would they do in California? Fire safety with.
The rapid shutdown, or you mean in terms of solar
Yeah,
creating?
or is that?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Is it how to protect the
How to
system
pr-
from catching on fire?
Yeah, how to protect them in a fire. Or,
Okay, sure. So the
or
question,
could they contribute another
Could they
part
be an
of fire
additional source?
hazard?
sure, yeah. So the question is, how do you protect solar from fire damage? And then the second part to that is, do solar panels create a fire hazard? Would that be the two?
Yeah.
Okay.
For fast moving
Yeah.
fire.
You want to?
I don't know if I know the answer.
Okay.
to
All right.
that.
So solar panels in and of themselves, when the 2 wires that are coming off the solar panels are disconnected, it's an open circuit. There's no electric that's coming out of them. If you were to take a solar panel that is shining and the sun is just beating right down and grounded it out on a piece of metal, you would see it arcing. It would cause a fire. Okay. However, that microinverter or that optimizer that's on that solar panel, that's a disconnect switch. So if there's any arc fault, just like those arc faults in your home, where in your bathroom or on your electric panel, where it senses a grounding issue, pops that breaker, that stops that fire hazard. Okay, so that panel level protection is going to stop the fire hazard issue. Now, is there something to protect solar panels from fire? Absolutely not. They're gonna melt down just like everything else.
Okay, we have a couple of questions from chat. A couple Matt have answered, but just for everybody in the room, do the panels ever need to be cleaned? Matt says, yes, we offer annual cleaning and inspection. The cost is $10 per solar panel per year. So they do need to be cleaned then, is that the
Yeah, I mean, it's,
recommendation?
you know, if you got snow on them and then even just debris, I mean, it's a good
Good idea.
practice to have, especially so you don't have any shade spots on your panels.
Okay,
In general, panels are not, they don't need to be cleaned, but to maintain the performance of the panel, absolutely. So, you know, there's folks that don't touch their panels at all.
not
Yeah.
smart.
And you know, the thing is they're maintenance free. That's what you'll hear. They're maintenance free. Normal rainwater is going to wash off the rain, the dust and the debris and all of that. But you'll actually see a performance increase. Now, the key with cleaning solar panels is that you're using the right type of water, that you're not using soapy water, that it's actually, and it's an alkaline, where, you know how when you wash your car and you get all those streaks that'll go on your car if you're using the wrong soap? That's the same stuff has solar panels. And those streaks that come down, that's creating refraction, and that's reducing production. So you don't want, if you're cleaning, you got to do it the right way. So absolutely, you get someone that knows what to do, and never clean your solar panels with a pressure washer. Absolutely.
It sounds like $10 per panel per year is a good deal. Okay. So next question, what maintenance needs to be done for the panels? And Matt answers, normally there is no maintenance as there are no moving parts. They do offer to clean the panels and inspect the wiring and system operations. Next question that Matt did not answer, how does snow impact their performance?
Okay.
I'm a mechanical engineer. so
Yes.
I'm-
You want to answer?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. How does snow affect performance? It cuts it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like everything else, right?
Yeah.
It's a blanket over the panel, and what sunlight comes through. You need a certain amount of light to generate any electricity at all. There's a threshold amount of solar energy that you need, 0.3 watts. Yeah, in order to generate any electricity at all in the panel. If it's less than 0.3 watts, then
You're not going to see, yeah. So
Yeah,
like
you
right
won't see
here
anything.
on, when you're looking at this, this image right here, and it's showing production being made. If there's snow on the panels, this, you're going to see all of these go pretty much down to zero, but they're still registering. So any light that passes through the snow, it's still detecting, but it's registering that that panel's not producing anything.
And the other thing is that happens twice a day anyway, because the sun's going to come up. You'll be able to see, walk around outside, you know, you'll say, well, okay, sunrise, your system is not producing anything until the sun gets to a certain level to where it's getting enough energy onto the panel to really start some production. I can see my system come online, you know, after the sun's already come up a bit. And that's why the solar day is like 4.5 hours. Not that that's all that you're generating electricity. You're generating electricity much more than that, but it's a reduced amount on either side. And the solar day here in Ohio is about 4.5 hours.
You can kind of see this energy curve, production curve right here for the day, where it's starting out really low and then it's picking up. And this is probably right around 10 o'clock. Yep, right there where you see the top of the curve. So this is just a standard bell curve. And so you've got incidental production occurring in the morning and in the evening, but the bulk of it's happening. And that's where that 4.5 sun hour days is coming. And that's really your solar window is between 10 and 2.
And then the last thing I'll mention is, I don't care. If there's snow on the panels, it doesn't matter.
in a couple days, the snow's gonna melt and they're gonna be producing electricity. I
Yeah.
don't worry about anything happening to my system.
Yeah.
And it works fine.
The only time that you're really down is if it's so cold that the snow is not melting. Because just like on your car, if we get a good snow, but the sun comes up, that snow's just sliding off your windshield. But if it's really cold below freezing, and let's say we even had ice come in first and then a snow blanket on top, you're not going to get any production until such time that the temperature gets high enough where you can get that moisture developing for that ice sheet to slide off and that snow to do a melt off.
Okay, thank you.
Will they produce on a partly cloudy day?
Yes.
Yes.
So, just less.
Okay, this is an interesting question. With solar panels on your roof, would your lights and TV, et cetera, still work if the electric went out during a storm or power outage?
So,
Because it's completely disconnected. There's a power.
yeah, unless you have a battery backup.
Well, even if you have a battery backup, you have to have it disconnected.
The battery backup will work as long as you have, correct me if I'm wrong, as long as you have production in there. That's not tied to your, directly into the meter that goes to Duke Energy.
Yeah.
So that'll provide your battery backup or your energy for essential things in your house. You have heater, you have AC.
There's a couple of different battery systems. So for instance, can you hear me from over there? Can anybody hear me? I'm hoping they can hear me. Okay. All right. The mic's not that. Okay. All right. Good, good, good. I was good over there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me go back over here. Let's go better over here. That way we're kind of
Yeah, yeah.
side by side. So there are battery systems that, like the Tesla Powerwall, that is a tremendous, great piece of technology. And honestly, the cheapest, and when we talk about solar or battery, where you start the language that we use is cost per watt, kind of like miles per gallon, okay? What's the efficiency? So Tesla by far is the cheapest cost per watt battery. Now, what Tesla's system is an AC coupled, meaning it's an AC driven connected battery system. If the power goes out, the solar stops operating and you're only running off the battery. They cannot run simultaneously because solar is DC and the battery is AC, okay? Now, Generac and Enphase have battery systems that are DC based. So they can run in parallel. The solar can operate and the battery can operate. Additionally, you can connect a generator, small generator, that when things fall off, where the solar's not producing enough and the battery's depleted considerably, where it's not going to be able to meet the need of the home for very long, the generator will fire up and charge the battery. And then shut off. So in terms of triple redundancy for a power outage, you can operate solar, you can operate battery, and you can operate a generator if that were to occur.
The new microinverter technology that Enphase has just released will allow you to have backup without batteries now, as long as the panels are producing. So that 4.5 hour window, you would have backup.
Yeah. So that 8.5, that what is it? The IQ 8 Plus is the technology that's allowing that, and so it's a 30 amp circuit, I believe it is. 430.
4 single pole circuits that
Okay.
you would be able to connect to a backup situation.
So what it is an active. Think of it as the solar powering 4 breakers. Can I say it that way? 4 breakers in your house. Now, the tough thing with that though is this. Clouds roll over, energy drops, things start to shut down. You get flickering, you get surge issues. Clouds move away, sun comes back out, you get more power. So it's variable power unless it's absolutely bright. So, and clear. And so that is an issue with active solar feeding your panel. So batteries really are the key to having consistent power to keep you going throughout all this.
And so that's if you're not grid tied.
No, that can be
Yeah,
grid tied too.
Oh, that can be grid tied. too?
Yeah, so
Okay.
batteries are not just for off grid.
I meant the rolling down in the power.
Oh, yeah, the rolling down. So if you're grid tied and we were talking about a power down situation. So you're islanded, basically disconnected from the grid, so that up and down of power is really just interfacing to your electric panel.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions. Do all typical Cincinnati communities allow solar installation, or do some have rules against it? And how about solar arrays in yards versus on the roof? I guess that's a question about, are they allowed, not versus what's best for the homeowner?
So you can do, I guess that the question is if there's an HOA. Those are the only issues that I've run into where, you know, there's restrictions on different solar panels. I think there was even one where it had to be a black trim solar panel as well for an HOA requirement. And as far as ground mount versus roof, that's up to the customer, and we can provide both different analysis based off of your location, what would be the best scenario, because with our software, you'll be able to see the best location on your property of where the sun's going to hit to provide you the optimum solar production.
The only thing that'll keep you from being able to put a ground mount in your yard is zoning issues.
So that's the only thing, and so in some places you've got to go before the zoning board, you know, to get something approved, like City of Anderson or something like that, or I'm trying to think what there was one that we did where even a roof map had to go through zoning.
What about historic districts?
Yeah.
The question is about the historic districts. No, I haven't done any.
Okay, so historic, yeah, you guys, on historic, there is regulation. So here within the city of Cincinnati, where there's a lot of historic properties, the ruling is that the solar cannot be visible from the abutting street, okay? So what that means is that if I'm on this side of the street, the house is on that side, and I'm looking up, I should not be able to see the solar. Now, that doesn't mean a side street over here or a side street over there. But for instance, lots of installs that happened in OTR or other places. I'm trying to think.
Is the Silverton array one of those that you had up there? Because it looks like it's pretty tucked in.
Oh, the flat one? Yeah, no, they,
Oh, yeah.
on the brewery, yeah, that wasn't historic. Yeah, but historic homes, and typically, like, let's say downtown Covington or other places that have lots of older homes, even this, the church here, while we would not have been able to put solar on this church if it was on the front side. Fortunately, south facing was the back side for this home. So, or for the church. And so being able to put solar was, well, even though Mount Auburn isn't officially on the historical register, but it's within a historic district. So the districts, there's historic district mapping that says what you can and can't do. And you have to go through historic board approval. So for City of Cincinnati, when the permitting is going through and you've got a home that's in historic and you've got solar laid out, they have all that paperwork is submitted and they either say yes or no. And then if they say no, you can try to get a, what do you call it when you challenge something in the? Yeah, an appeal. You can get an appeal. But most of the time, it doesn't happen. But a lot of that is changing though, because solar is really like a water heater. Why can't I have a water heater? What do you mean I can't have a water heater? What do you mean I can't have a fridge? Solar is really just another appliance. If you want to drill it down to, it's something that's a part of your home.
Well, hopefully it's also changing because people are waking up to climate change.
Yes, let's hope so.
So for those of you who don't know, Sil and his company, Riverside Electric, did the solar panels on this church. So that.
Actually, it was the previous company that I was with,
Oh.
but I was the one that did all of
Oh.
the engineering
himself
design work.
did the-
Yes,
Okay.
the layout, all that, yeah. So I was
Okay.
with the previous company.
So another question, how about solar array on a barn instead of a house? Does it have to be within a certain distance from the house?
Yeah, so a barn, before you start to lose any kind of voltage, you can have an array as far away as 400 feet. After that, you're gonna have to upsize the wire, which is gonna add more cost. Now, that's saying that, let's say there's not a electric panel out at the barn. And you've got to run a line from the barn all the way back to the house with the panel. But if there is a panel in the barn and it has enough space in terms of being able to connect the solar in there, think of it like a water pipe. Is there enough space in that pipe for that additional amount of water to go in? Then yeah, we can add solar directly into that breaker box sub panel that's in the barn to backfeed to the house. So the distance is really not an issue. It's how much more is it going to cost?
Okay, that's a good question. So just for everybody online, I just put the links to the websites for all of the three companies here that have been presenting. And so between Matt, Monica, and Sil, so who should a person contact first to get, their assessment started? And at what point? I know that you guys do a lot of stuff for free before, like the quotes and stuff. At what point in this contract to completion does the first amount of money change hands? And then we have two more questions.
Okay, so the first step, you could actually go to either our website or it's Matt Kolbinski's, which is Pro Lighting and Solar. It'll have a link that you can click on and submit. The first thing we would need is a do-fill, and then we would do a preliminary quote, just getting some panels on your home off of our software, and then we'll come out and do a site visit to determine labor and what it would cost to actually install it. The initial cost wouldn't start until signed contract, and that's when the 50% would be put down. So that's when it would kind of change hands into our ownership of material ordering, permits, and engineering and applications. And then there's two more questions.
Yep, so that's great. So then to get started, you would either contact Paff Electric or.
You can actually contact any.
You can have contact any one
Okay,
of us.
all right,
Yeah.
great. So that's for anybody. And if you guys are here and want that information, I can give it to you.
Yes.
Okay, next question. Due to the value of the panels, do they make your homeowner's insurance go up?
Yeah.
Question.
So you will have to make sure that you have enough insurance to cover your home. I do know that it's pretty minimal. We've done one where I actually had to work with the homeowner's insurance, and I think it added like $5 a year to the total cost of your insurance. So it's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
But you do have to make sure that your home insurance covers your solar installation.
And it can be in two ways. One is either in the value of the home, or the other is a rider to cover the panels. So you.
Excellent. So the last question that we have is, what about lightning
or wind or storm damage.
So the solar panels actually can handle, what is it, 200, up to 200 miles per hour?
140 miles per hour.
Okay, 140 mile per hour, and then the hail requirements are like golf size, which is like an inch.
An inch at 54 miles per hour.
And we do also, a part of, our contract is doing structural analysis as well, just to make sure, there's no load issues with your roof or anything like that. So that's all part of the package, just to make sure we're doing all the checks and balances with your contract.
And then lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, lightning.
There's nothing to protect.
There's,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's some solar companies will sell you what's called a lightning arrestor. It's just a big giant fuse. It's just gonna pop and lightning's gonna go where lightning wants to go. It does not care about any technology that you have in place.
I lost an inverter
Yeah,
and then
Well,
I got
lightning strikes.
it replaced for free.
sure.
thankfully.
Yeah, because it was still under warranty.
Still under warranty.
So yeah, anything like those kinds of events, it's very important that the technology that you're having installed does have that kind of protection. Otherwise, you really need to have that covered in your insurance policy, because all of that is considered act of God type incidents. Hail, wind damage, lightning.
Okay, I think finally, unless there are any other last minute questions, Matt, do you want to talk about the solar town hall that's coming up in a couple of weeks and just give people a heads up on that? And just for people who are, this is being recorded, will be uploaded, and we are going to have another online solar presentation like this on May 9th at 7 p.m. I'll turn it over to
So solar town hall event that we're going to be putting on, we'll be putting it on in conjunction with the electrical workers, local union 212. So we've invited their club to be part of the town hall as well. Some of the things that were just where we are today as far as solar in the market. We'll be doing a couple of tours of our net zero training center. We're going to also explain the incentive that the electrical workers are offering right now. So if you use a company like Monica's company or Riverside Electric or Paff Electric to do your solar project, there are no incentives that the electrical workers are offering in Hamilton County, Claremont County, and Brown County, the 7 northernmost counties in Kentucky, and Dearborn, Switzerland, and one other county in Indiana. And I'm sorry, the county escapes me. But at any rate, most of the people on here are probably in Hamilton and Claremont County. There are additional incentives that are available for the electrical workers solar initiative. And those are some of the things that we'll be discussing at this April 22nd, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's 5455 Glen Avenue. And again, putting it out as well as far as in the near future. That'll have all the different speakers and things like that. So if you're interested, you want to say it's going to be a really good event. We're going to have some networking. We'll have High Grain Brewery there serving solar powered beer. So it should be good fun. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right now. Does anybody have any questions about what we've covered today? I know it was a lot to go over in a short period of time.
Obviously.
Anybody else?
Yeah, we just had a question about general cost.
I mean, it definitely.
So as far as the general costs, it's going to depend on a few variables. The pitch of the roof, the size of the system, the ease and accessibility to the roof. So those are kind of the main things. Normally, from a budget standpoint, going to be around $3 a watt. There have been some price increases that are just industry-wide for solar panels and components because the cost of copper and commodities has gone up. So yours is, for a decent sized system, is kind of a good ballpark. But again, it depends on the degree of difficulty to access your roof and the pitch of your roof. So the question is, what is the biggest risk with this type of a project? I'm not exactly sure if I understand the biggest risk. Are you talking about the installation? The biggest risk to be lightning. Okay. As Sil mentioned, surge arrestor is something that's a pretty simple solution to that. That's less than $500. And that is something that that we would offer as well. Does anybody have any other questions? Anybody at all? All right.
Turn the speaker off, yeah. Thanks. That off? Yes, great. Also, for the people in the room, we have frequently asked questions. If you want to grab they're free.
Yeah, we'll also post those. We're going to probably add a little bit to it as kind of like a live document as we get more questions from things like this. We'll just keep adding to it because we're here to educate and help you guys understand a little bit more about solar. So
If there were any terms and things that we used that when it didn't make sense, Monica said we want to be able to educate and help you guys understand. So a lot of times in the industry, and you guys probably know, if whatever you're working in, you'll use acronyms or different things, kind of like the NABCEP, which stands for National Association Board Certified Energy Practitioner. That's what that stands for. Okay, so yes, I'm NABCEP certified, but I would just go, yeah, NABCEP. What the heck does that mean? Or KWH, or what, or the one thing we don't want anybody to do is not ask a question. You got to make sure you've asked every question that comes to your mind, because solar is a big investment and you don't want to have any questions going into it.
and there are no dumb questions.
None.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Somebody said that the biggest risk to the project is the cost of the materials.
Oh,
The
yes,
biggest
yeah.
risk to your wallet, perhaps. But
Yeah.
anyway, so thank you, Matt, all the way from Salt Lake City. Appreciate you being here. Thanks, Sil. And thanks, Monica.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Kathy, is there anything else that you want to say?
Thank you, everybody. I guess we're gonna cut off the Zoom, and I would just like. All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here and through Zoom. We're going to continue to have hybrid educational meetings once a month, first Monday. The next one's going to have a lot of information about being at the Grand Canyon. So we have a Sierra Club professional who signed up to come in person, and we're going to be getting kind of some, I think, beautiful pictures and some ecology, how things are changing. So join us next Monday and, or not next Monday, the first Monday of the month. And thank you all for being here. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.